welcome to another episode of Fabitgarage. So on this episode, we're going to be dropping the transmission on the V8 Miata. We're going to put it on the bench, tear it apart. We're going to reseal that tail shaft piece, and we're going to remove the gear from the parts transmission, which is on the bench up there, which I'm going to flip the camera and show you guys. And then we're going to upgrade the parts with the pieces that I showed you in my last video. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. So yeah, let's get the car set up on the lift and start dropping the transmission. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you guys inside the parts transmission I have. All right, so this is the parts T5 that I have. I actually got this from a family member, and he has a Mustang, and he upgraded to, I believe, a Tramic. And he gave me this for free, which is awesome. Thank you, Nate. And I was planning on maybe rebuilding this when I first started with the project, but then I came across, like I said, my old boss bought that transmission that was supposed to be rebuilt. So I was like, well, I'll keep this one as a spare. This one did have a second gear grind, I believe, but I've never looked into it. I just kind of put it aside as I was gathering parts. But anyway, so if you see here, the rear, see this hole, that's where the sensor goes in for the speedometer to work. And that hole lines up with this gear. This plastic gear is missing on mine. So I'm gonna have to slide this out, slide this gear out, take my transmission apart, slide that in. And it has a little locking tab here, so it'll lock in place. So this is the fifth gear shift fork. And then you got 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Again, I have a 1 and 2 upgrade, and I have new pads for all of them. So this transmission is actually pretty clean inside. It actually doesn't look too bad, and it's actually pretty nice to have a whole parts transmission if I need any of these gears, and they're not too bad. I can always tear it apart and use them. So it's kind of nice having a parts transmission. So as you see here, this is the area that's leaking on mine. It's supposed to be RTV. I think someone just took it apart, put it back in, and didn't do a great job cleaning before they RTV'd it. I'm not sure, but we're gonna fix it. So we're gonna clean it all out. And so I just wanted to take this off, make sure everything here looks, nothing is broken or anything before I take the whole car apart and find out that this only has half the gear, or you never know. So now that I know we're good, I'm gonna set the car up on the lift and start removing the transmission on this thing. And I wanna show you here. I'm also gonna be replacing the U-joints on the drive shaft. And the reason for that is, so here's my upgrade parts that we talked about in my last video. I bought 2 Spicer heavy duty U-joints. And the reason why is because I bought this drive shaft used, and I paid $30 for it. When I sent it to the machine shop, they shortened it, they balanced it, and that was perfect for my build because it was pretty much came up just under $200 for the whole drive shaft. And if I was to buy one off of Miata Miata, I think it was $485 or something. I think it was close to $500 with shipping and everything. So I saved myself a lot of money. But the rear U-joint has a little bit of play up and down. So I already greased them. It still has a little bit of play. So just to be safe, I'm gonna replace them with heavy duty U-joints just to make sure I'm not gonna have an issue. I don't want to have that on the back of my mind where, oh, I know that has a little bit of play, should be fine, and then the thing just falls apart in the middle of a wide open throttle or banging gears. You never know. So better safe than sorry. These were a little pricey. It was like almost $100 for both of these. It was like $48 a piece. But they're upgraded over stock, and they're supposedly extreme heavy duty. So I guess we'll see. But let me set the car up on the lift, and let's get to removing this thing. Here's another thing I bought. I figure I'd give you guys a little update. I bought this little switch here, and if you look in here, you're gonna see a picture of an exhaust tip, and it's gonna say open. So if you guys are thinking what I'm thinking, we're gonna put electric exhaust cutout on this Miata. And I ordered them a couple days ago. We'll see when I get it. I'll do a install video. But I actually, with the cutouts, I ordered a separate module, and this module allows me to press this. This is just a push button, momentary. And pretty much all I'm gonna have to do with this new module that I bought is if I press it once, both cutouts will open. I press it one more time, both cutouts will close. I no longer have to hold a switch for them to close, because I've had many cutouts throughout many cars that I've had. And I actually have one of my Genesis Coupe right now. I'm tried from all kinds of brands of electric ones, QTP, you name it, I tried it. And all of them have a switch, a toggle switch, that if you go up, it'll open. If you go down, it'll close. But the motors on those, they fail because you see people hold the switch closed for a few seconds after it's already closed, and it puts a lot of stress on the motor. And then they came out with the little key fob ones where you have you go on eBay, you type in exhaust cutout, and you're gonna have a little key fob, just like a car, to lock and unlock. But that's not really convenient because you have to have the key fob on you all the time. Or if you're driving, you have to go in your ignition switch where your keys are and find a key fob. It's just, you want to have a button dedicated for it. So, and even with a key fob, if you press it once, the cutout plate goes meh, it opens just a little bit. You have to press it and hold it for it to actually open all the way. With this module here, which cost me 80 bucks, it does it all for you, which is pretty cool. So I'll put the link below of the module and the cutouts that I got. Total for the cutouts was like $250, and that's 2 cutout kits and the module. The cutouts are just from eBay, and I've actually had those exact ones before on my Volkswagens. So before I put them in, I know what I have to upgrade and reinforce because I've had them in the past and I know how they fail. But we're gonna make sure that that does not happen this time. So when that comes in, I'll show you guys, but until then, let's get this transmission out. Okay, so as you guys can see, I removed my center console. I removed the shift handle there with the bolts and the pad that goes over it for installation. And I'm left with just the actual shifter. And I just wanted to basically show you guys why I could not buy the MGW shifter that I wanted. Everyone goes crazy about them and says that they're really good quality and they shift like a dream. And every review I saw was a positive review. I don't think I saw any negative reviews on that. But for my setup, it will not work because that shifter has a big aluminum block that comes like here. And then you have the shift handle, which is round. And that goes into that block, and then the block tightens it. So that shifter actually makes the shift handle come out of the top, which means when I'm in first, third, or fifth, that will not work because obviously right here. So yeah, I can always get a Sawzall and cut a big hole here, but I'm trying to make this build so it's, the interior doesn't look, I don't want to hack anything up. I want to make it look decent. But if I cannot buy that shifter and I have to cut a hole here to make it fit, and I have to make it look ugly to make it fit, then I don't want it. That's why I ended up going with the Steeler Tri-X or the Summit one, which they're the same. And because that's going to give me pretty much the same setup I have here, and I can just reuse my shift handle. Hopefully the shifter I ordered is not any taller than this, even though it's got the 2 holes. Hopefully the actual shifter is not taller. We will see when we put it in. But at this point, anything is better than a stock shifter. So I figure, I already mentioned this on my past video about doing this to the shifter and stuff, but the reason why I repeat a lot of the stuff that I do is because not everybody's gonna watch every second of every episode that I put out there. So I can expect someone to just start playing my freshly uploaded video and know exactly what I did on my last video because maybe they didn't watch it. So sometimes I tend to tell you guys, hey, I'm doing this, I'm transferring the gear, even though I already told you I was going to put the gear, just so a new watcher knows what the hell I'm talking about. So it makes a little more sense. So yes, I know I repeat a lot of the things that I do, but I do it for a reason, to help the new people that are watching understand it a little better. So this is ready to go up here, and I'm going to put the car up on the lift and do my work from under there. All right, just wanted to show you guys the leak here. So it's not bad. Barely leaves stain on the ground, but I figure I'd show you. Every time I put it up on the lift, I get a couple drops out of here, and I don't see any silicone oozing out of the sides. So I don't think so. I don't think anybody did a great job sealing it. You see silicone oozing out of the top here, but on the bottom here, there's nothing. So that's why I'm taking this off too. So I'm gonna start by dropping the exhaust and then just basically unbolt. And this is, it's got 4 bolts and the bell housing stays in place, so I don't have to undo the clutch or anything like that. 4 bolts and drop the cross member, take the drive shaft out, and I pretty much have a transmission out, so. Well, the exhaust is finally down, front and rear, drive shaft's out, cross member's out, and the transmission's out. So now I can actually carry this to the bench, put it next to the other one, and start swapping parts. But this is a really cool thing about the T5 is 4 bolts. The bell housing stays in place, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the hydraulics. You don't have to worry about taking the starter out, anything. 4 bolts, transmission slides right up. So it works really good, actually. I might actually, remember, if you watch my older videos, I was gonna cut this here. That way I can change the shifter from up there if I wanted to. I think I'm actually gonna do that now, because if I wanna change the shifter for some reason, I don't wanna have to drop the back side of the transmission anymore. So after the transmission upgrade's done, I will be cutting that before putting the transmission back up. So let me carry this transmission to the bench and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Well, well, well. Here's the old parts transmission. That's the gear I need. And guess what? Mine has one. Except whoever put it in did not put this clip in that locks it in place. Look at this. That's why when I was looking through the hole, it's supposed to sit right on this machine area here. And looking through the hole, I put my finger here and feel it. There's no gear there. I can look in there with the camera, no gear there. But apparently this was slid all the way back here. So this thing's just been moving around. So kind of glad I have a spare one. So I'll probably still take out this one here in case that one got damaged from just spinning. It's not really supposed to be spinning, separate from the shaft. So I'll use this one here with the retaining clip and I should be okay. But I was just surprised. I was like, at first when I pulled the casing off and I was like, what the hell am I missing here? And then I realized that it wasn't where it's supposed to be, so. Well, whatever. We had to reseal this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Whoever put this on here, put it on without really cleaning the surface. And silicone, basically, if you pick up a corner of it and you can pull the silicone all the way out, it wasn't even sticking that great. Silicone, when it's really stuck to a very clean surface, you're gonna have to scrape it off. Like, pretty much compared to a timing cover on a Volkswagen or an Audi 2-liter. You have to pry the cover off to a point where you might even break that cover, that steel cover. And we do those all the time at work. And the silicone, it takes forever to get a silicone off. So when a silicone comes off too easy, that means the surface was not clean. Silicone does not stick to oil. You have to clean this 10 times with brake cleaner, run a plastic razor blade, and brake clean until you get it nice and dry, oil free. This is how you're gonna get a good seal. The second thing is, so remember how I ordered a shift fork? Well, this is my first and second shift fork that I ordered. Guess what? Broken. That one's about to fall apart. Not only that, but there's a lot of scraping over here. So I don't think this is bent looking at it, but again, this is why you replace the first and second shift fork for $30, because again, I could probably get away with just the pads, but there goes to show that this one usually fails the most. These other ones here, they actually don't look too bad, but replace them all anyway. But I just figured I'd show you guys that one is actually broken. That was ready to fall off inside the transmission and then start to give me all kinds of shifting issues. Other than that, the inside of the transmission looks good, looks clean, no metal shavings or pieces of silicone anywhere. Someone already upgraded, looks like, the bearing retainer with the steel one. So this is where your throw bearing rides. If you look at this transmission here, the parts transmission, it's got a short piece. This is all aluminum, so you have the throw bearing riding on the aluminum, and eventually it actually wears this down. So they make an upgrade for you, upgrade to steel, and that'll take a lot more beating. So someone already did that, which is kind of cool. Everything else looks clean. I'm gonna remove this arm here, this shift fork for the 5th gear, and see how that looks. But either way, I'm doing the pads. Other than that, everything looks good. Looks like the pin that goes here inside the spring is also missing, but I have one from that transmission there, so I'm not worried about it. Other than that, I'm basically just gonna clean this all up and pretty much replace the fork, the pads, seal it all up, and basically just throw it back in the car. So I'm not gonna do a very, very detailed video on how to do exactly this, because you most likely won't have to do it. And if you do, there's very good tutorials on how to take these T5s completely apart and put them back together on YouTube. And I'm not a transmission professional. I'm just somewhat familiar with these. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that the plan is working out good so far. Well, here's the T5 ready to go back into the car. So as you can see here, my new shifter's installed. So that's all set. I have to set the stops when I put it in the car, and pretty much just put it in second and stuff. So I'll do that in the car. But other than that, she's ready to go, all sealed. Keep in mind, 3 of the bolts that hold the rear housing on go through the case, and you have to put silicone all around that hole, otherwise it will leak. All the other ones just go through the case and come out. Other than that, new shift fork with pads, new shifter, and we have that gear in there. You see my speed sensor here. I have a pigtail on the bench there. It'll plug in just like a OEM connector. Give me 2 wires. One's gonna be grounded. The other one's gonna be going right into the Dakota Digital box. And once I figure out which one is which, if it does matter, I am gonna let you guys know which one. But let's put this back on the car for now. So this is pretty much all set. It's not full yet of transmission fluid. I'm gonna put it on the car and then let it sit overnight. This has been sitting about 5 to 6 hours right now after I got done with it. And I wanna let the silicone cure a little bit before I put fluid in it, just to make sure I'm not gonna have any leaks. But while I was waiting for this thing to cure, I was doing all the little things. And then I'll show you guys what I just got. Here she is. I went in to have something to eat for lunch, and I went on Marketplace, and there was a kid selling a roll bar for a Miata. So it's like, well, I mean, he was selling it for a decent deal. I didn't get a great deal on this like I usually do with my stuff, but I paid $500 for this, which is not bad, because they sell new for shipped to your door $800. So I mean, this is something that I say doesn't wear out. This is something that really doesn't wear unless you start to get rust, which this one looks brand new. This is a hard dog roll bar, so it's really good quality, and it'll pass all kinds of inspections. This is the M2 version. So for those of you that don't know, the hard dog M1 roll bar, it's really only made for plastic windows. And it's really designed for the NA, but it'll fit the NB. This one here has a slight curve on the back here instead of straight back. And this one is good for plastic windows and glass windows. So this will be great for me right now, because I got it for a decent price, and it'll protect me if something happens, hopefully. And in the future, if I do decide to sell, honestly, most people that have nice Miatas, they have glass windows. Only the people that really cheap out like me and get the plastic windows. So either way, I would have bought either one, but for $500 in this condition, I couldn't pass it up. So I say, you know what, screw it, I'll just pick that up. So putting the transmission in, and then I'm gonna install this roll bar, get rid of the little style bar that I have on there, the chrome one, and see how this thing looks. Okay, transmission's all back in. All we're left with is the 2 wires that we're gonna connect to the speed sensor. So this is all back in. I'm gonna show you guys the drive shaft. I just replaced both U-joints. As you can see here, hold on one second, let me focus this. So both U-joints brand new, Spicer brand, which is really what you should go with. I'll show you here the part number. If you want the Spicer heavy duty, you gotta get this 51 3301X. This is gonna be for the heavy duty Spicer unit. And that'll fit the Mustang drive shaft, the Fox body steel drive shaft. So now I can just put the drive shaft back on, put the exhaust back up, and pretty much just see how the shifter is up top, and that's pretty much it as far as this week's video. Next video is most likely going to be installing the roll bar and figuring out what we're going to do with the shifter, installing the new shift knob, and then we're going to go for a ride and hopefully get some footage for you guys of the new setup, the new shifting, and do a little review on the suspension, how's it holding up. So, but yeah, guys, we're getting there. It's getting chilly now. Hopefully I can get this done before it gets too cold. It's supposed to be freezing overnight. Tomorrow's supposed to be a little chilly, but I'm gonna be out here working on this. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. And we'll see you guys next week and see what next week brings.